Hey guys, happy Magic Monday. I am moving a light over here real quick so I can make sure we can see what I'm doing here, because sometimes it doesn't come out so bright in the video. So I wanted to get on here and do a video, and actually part of the reason why I have the paper showing is I wanted to, it's foil paper. It's actually on sale right now for only $6. Oops. And as I made it crooked, it's on sale for only $6, this particular paper. And so it's called the Splendid Day paper. Yeah. Splendid Day Specialty Designer paper. And let me grab a sampling that I have here. I've cut it up, this little sample I got from someone. And so it has a lot of foil in it. And then there's the B-sides have, this piece I used a lot of. It's shimmery, but it's not foil. Like these ones are all the foil. And then the back side has this really pretty floral motif. So I'm a little early. I know I normally come on at 4, but I was like, you know what? I just kind of want to get it done today. And it's a holiday. And so I'm just going to get on here. So but one of the sheets that I'm going to use today is this one below, this one here, which I haven't used. And you might not be able to tell, but it's a green. It's actually like a soft green foil. And that's the one I want to use. I've used a bunch of this one. I only noticed these ladybugs on it much later. It's so funny. There's these cute little ladybugs. Hey, stop it. And so I hadn't noticed these little ladybugs in the foliage until just now. Hey, stop it. Stop. And so, let's see. I think I showed you all the pieces that are in there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of this, yeah. All the front sides have foil, which is really unusual. Have foil, or this one is like a shimmer, which is really unusual. Most of the papers that we have are one or the other. And then the back side is this gorgeous soft seafoam, which also makes this sheet my favorite sheet because there's something about this soft seafoam that I just love. And I just was really inspired. I love this. I was going through my stuff trying to figure out what I was going to use today. And my favorite stamp set right now is the Wildlife Wonder stamp set. I love this particular stamp set. I don't know. I just love the bear on it. I just love the texture it gives off. It's just a really, really good stamp set, in my opinion. I tend to I've used it a bunch when it first came out, and which was early last year. And I thought I'd show it to you again now. And so I went ahead and wanted to do like a Brave inspired card. No, get down. Get down, cats. Come on, get down, get down. You get down too. Okay, they haven't been up here all day, but all of a sudden now I'm live on video and they all want to jump on the table. So, yeah, so I went ahead and I made this card, which was a fun little card. And I made another similar card similar to this last spring, but I decided to do another one because I really wanted to use up this foil. And this foil is only $6 right now. I mean, hello, that's a good deal. So I'm always going to take advantage of that. So we're going to be using, oh, I didn't get the bear out. We're going to be using the bear. Like, look at how cute it looks even in blue. I also made a bunch of cards. People tend to think this is like a masculine stamp set, but actually I've used it for all kinds of stuff. Like that, in my opinion, we're kind of gender neutral. But then I also used this purple, which, you know, you could give a card to some guy that was purple, but I don't know. I found it to be better, probably more a feminine card because it had some pink ribbon on it. Hi, Angela. Thanks for tuning in. So I decided to go ahead and do a card with this. Let me go ahead and grab our pieces and our stamps. Oh, I wanted to show you, that's why I had that out. I want to show you how to cut the paper first, because when you have a large sheet of paper like this, it can be kind of intimidating because it's kind of intended, you know, these large sheets technically are intended, oh, you got to be careful. Look, I scratched it because I was being a little careless, I scratched it. You got to be a little careful only because of the fact that it's intended for like a scrapbook page, you know, one of these big, huge scrapbook pages, but you can use it for individual. And because the design goes up and down, you just have to be a little careful when you're cutting it, just so that you can, you know, take advantage of all your paper. So what I did was I wanted to have, I went ahead and cut on the side here at 5 3/4. Okay. I cut, instead of cutting it directly in half, which is what many people would do. So I'm going to cut it at 5 3/4. Let me move this aside. Cause, not 5 3/4, 5 1/4. Okay. Cause 5 1/2 is how long my card is. And so 5 1/4 is the next, oh no, I need to cut it at 5 inches because this layer, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Okay, this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this next layer, the soft seafoam layer that I used, is 4 by 5 1/4. So then the next layer is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So I'm going to cut this at 5 inches. Now, you don't have to do it my way. I'm just showing you how I can get 6 full card fronts with this same layout. If you wanted to do different layouts for every single card, then yeah, you're going to need to cut it a little different each time. But I wanted to try and maximize my card layouts. Oops. Okay, so 5 inches. Okay, and I still managed to get the B in there when I cut it at 5 inches. Because I want to maximize this print. I don't really need a lot of this extra green foil at the top. Let me see if it works over here. It should work over here at 5 inches as well. Yes, it's going to work at 5 inches and I still get to keep both of the B's. And so then I'm left with this strip here. You see this strip is, I think, 2 inches. Yeah, so this should be a 2-inch strip. But this is a good size piece left to use on something else. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this at 3 3/4. And that way I can have my full card front and I can get 1, 2, 3 out of this. And I'm going to have a little bit of an extra strip on the side over here. And, you know, you could use that for another card or you could use it for, so let me cut it. See, this is the piece that I had pretty much when I made this card. It was kind of a centerpiece. And I want to make sure I get that little B in there. But I still want this, you know what, I'm going to turn it this way when I cut it to 3 3/4. And that way this tall foliage, I can keep it. Well, maybe I don't really need the tall foliage. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. And so that gives me 3 full card fronts on each side. And I kind of want to cut this in half and add it to the inside of my card. I'm going to take this piece. This is only like a 1-inch piece. No, it's a 3/4 inch piece. And I'm just going to cut it straight in half. And I'm going to put it on the inside of my card. I think I'll do that because I can. So that leaves me with those 3 pieces on the front, 3 card fronts, and then that little strip on the edge that I just cut in half. Okay, so we'll go ahead and I can use that again later. But this extra piece in the center is also good that I can save for another card because it's very plain. So that's actually a good piece that you have and not necessarily waste it. And so that's how I have done best when I have made these cards, is I've done it that way. So when we go ahead and we get our, oh, this is a scrap that I had. Okay. So when we go ahead and we get our layers are very basic, but I do think that they have a good impact. Let's see, where'd my piece go? Oh, I put it away. Let's see. I think I want to use one with the B. I just have to be careful because I have to make sure that I can fit my bear and I can fit the label. I don't want to cover up the bee. I might have to use it on a different card if it's not going to work. So let's just do a guesstimate. Yeah, that bee is in the wrong spot. So we'll go ahead and we'll see if this one will work. I just kind of like that little bee. I just think it's cute. I don't have to use it though. I might just get the plain one out. Yeah, my label's going to cover up the bee, so I'll just save the bees for another card, and I'll just use the plain piece. But it's good that I had those options, you know, so that you could see how the difference, you know. So thanks for tuning in early. Sorry to tune in early. I just kind of wanted to get my, you know, it's a holiday. I kind of wanted to get it done. And I really just liked... I like this bear. This bear makes me think of Brave, obviously, because that's the, you know, the movie is so centered around bears and bear mythology and everything. I think I dumped my piece. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So then we're going to take some of this. There it is. The window pane evening evergreen ribbon that I have wrapped around a piece of cardstock here. It's a sampling that I got. I didn't think I'd like this window pane ribbon. I haven't bought any of it except for this little sampling that I got. Sometimes demonstrators like my Upline Candy will do like a paper share or a ribbon share. And that's how I got this one. And I just think it works perfect for what I need it for. And so I'm going to go ahead and grab some. Oh, and you need to be careful when you're putting the glue on. You see how I pressed down a little hard? You can see where I put the glue. It's like because I had pressed down a little too hard when I was putting the glue on, that you can see like I burnished the foil essentially. No one else is going to notice it. But just letting you know, that was something I meant to remember when I was telling you or teaching this to you, but yeah, of course I didn't. I don't normally take my Christmas tree down so early, but I think I might, because I have several Christmas trees, as I showed you. I might take down the Halloween one today and possibly my Star Wars one just to get started. And then I always leave my tree up until the 6th. My grandmother always left him up till the 6th, so I leave him up till the 6th. I didn't learn until later. It's because that's like Three Kings Day. And, but I didn't know that until I was an adult. Yeah, I was a little aggressive with that white glue, but I don't think anyone will really notice. It was just me. So you just have to be gentle when you're using the foil, because it is foil. Like when you use cooking foil, it will hold scratches and indentations and stuff because of the fact that it's a foil. All right, so let me go ahead and grab my sentiment. So what I had to do with this particular sentiment as a tip is, if you look at the front side, you can see that I had to cut off some of the word at the top. It's because the rubber and my sticker, look at where the Y is on the rubber. Normally when you have a stamp, the layer around the edging is like proportionate all the way around. But for some reason, when they cut this particular stamp, it was off center. So what you can do is you can cut it. I just trimmed all the excess off the top. Also, it helps me when I would get a halo, because I was using the stamp and it would give me a little halo when I stamped it. So I trimmed all the excess off the top, and you can see how much I cut off when I put it back in its package. You see, I had to cut off all this extra. It's really unusual that it's off center. I could have called Stampin' Up and they would have replaced the whole thing for me. But I went ahead and I just kept it because I didn't really mind. I had to do the same thing with this one. So it's really rare that it's this off center. You can really see on the owl, you know, so look at how off center that is. You see the owl is right to the edge over here, but it's really rare that that happens. And I didn't return it because I didn't feel like it. But if it really bugs you, you can always call them and they'll take care of it. You just need to do it within a few days, within 30 days, I think, of buying it. They don't really, you know, when it's past 30 days, like anything, you know, they want it taken care of quickly. So let me go ahead and stamp my sending birthday wishes. And then I need to grab a scrap with Evening Evergreen ink. So I'm not looking at the words when I stamp. I'm just looking at the shape of the stamp to make sure I get it centered. And this little label just came from, I think it came from a paper pumpkin kit. It was not from, yeah, I think it's just from my paper pumpkin kit. It's just an extra. Oh gosh, it's blinking. Oh, I hope it doesn't continue. That's what happened the other day. I think because I don't have it on like do not disturb maybe. Okay, let me get this scrap of white. And I'm just going to use black for the bear. On my first card, I had a brown bear, and I didn't realize until later that that was the wrong, I needed to use black or gray. Let me see if I want it black or if I want it stamped off. No, I wanted this first one because it's textured enough to where it looks gray. You know, I didn't want like a solid black bear because the character is a gray, like a dark gray. Okay. All right. Oof. There was something on it. Yeah, there was like a little something on it. Let me flip it over. I inked it a little too much, and then there was something on it. Something stuck on it. Let me flip it over. There we go. So I didn't press it as hard, and I get a lot more texture in the face. It just looks a little bit better. It's still rich, but not necessarily so dark that it's going to be unrecognizable. So let me clean that off so I don't want to put my card on top of it in a minute, because you know that's what's going to happen if I'm not paying attention. Okay, so then to cut out my bear, you always you turn the paper, not the scissors. I'm sorry if it's coming through badly. I'm gonna come back to that area and see if I want to get his legs or her legs. I think that's okay. I don't think I'm gonna go all the way up in, because I think it'll look a little, it'll actually start to look a little too roughly cut. So I think I'm gonna stick with that. I'm going to put dimensionals in the back of this little bear. Oh, and I've got a scrap here I'm going to use up. And then I'll put a little crown on it. There we go. Plenty of dimensional left in that little, in the edges. I can usually get at least several. This is a large piece, but usually I get several labels. Oops. That one got stuck. Okay. Usually I can put on several labels and other things. This I'm going to use quite a dimensional because it's such a large piece, but normally I just get what I need. Okay, done. Okay. Oh, done. Okay, then for this piece here, I'm going to use these narrow pieces of dimensional from the top. You don't have to. I just find that it's kind of helpful if you do use the narrow edges here on this particular label, because you want it to be to go, I don't really want it on top of the ribbon. I want it to be just on the edges of the ribbon to hold it down. And then, yeah, I did a card similar to this if you guys have been following me in the spring, but I just used some different paper, and this ribbon is perfect. Because even though it's a plaid, kind of a plaid check, it reminds me a little bit of the Scottish tartan, a little bit. All right, so we're done with that. And the crown, I did have a crown ready. So what I did was I took, this is like a piece of scrap from the copper. It's like a rose gold is how it looks actually. And I'm just going to cut off a little chunk, like a scrap from it. And I'm going to make my crown from that. So I went ahead and I literally just cut up, and then I trimmed it, and then in, and then like a little like teeth, you know. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This one looks a little bit larger than the one I did before, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And I can always keep trimming if it's just a little too funny. Yeah, this one's a little bit bigger. Okay, and so, and all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna round off the edges of the crown a little bit. Just the corners. I just found that when I rounded it, it looked a little bit more like a tiara than like just a chopped up. So I don't know if you can see it in my hand, but so it still has that little, up and down shape, but the rounded edges to just add a little something. And let me grab, I'm just gonna grab a glue dot from the Paper Pumpkin set. This is why I love Paper Pumpkin. I love the glue dots in there. They're very convenient. I mean, they're a little fussy sometimes, you know, because you have to take off the label, but they're not as fat. The glue dots that we sell from Stampin' Up! Are really thick, which is a good thing, but it's also depending on what you're designing, it also can be a bad thing. And so, there we go. And so I'm going to put it at a little angle to get her little crown. And then I'm going to use one of the opals, the 2021 to 2023 opals. And this Evening Evergreen is only available until, I think, May. And once it starts, it'll start selling out really quickly, this Evening Evergreen paper. So, as well as these gems, because once they go on the retiring list, all of a sudden they sell out really quickly. So I would pick these up and the Evening Evergreen paper as soon as you can. And the inside of the card, I have a couple options. So for the inside of the card, I was thinking I might put this strip in here because I have it. I could also stamp on this card. I use the other stamp, this little wildflower stamp, you know, so that's what I did on the original one. And I also put it on the envelope, which I kind of like. So I think I'm going to do that this time. And I'm going to save this little piece that I cut off, save that for another card later. And I'm just going to stamp the inside in the envelope like I've done before. I love this little wildflower stamp because even though it's just a simple stamp, I don't know, it's so cute. To me, it just adds just the touch of, you know, floral to any of the cards that I've made. Just a touch, you know. And then get my envelope. This envelope has a lot of glitter on it. I had put something with glitter inside this basket, and so now it's super glittery in there. There we go. And look how cute that this is the best one, stamped one. But even the wildflower has such great texture, you know? And so I just think that that has a good look, you know? So, I don't know. This whole stamp set, Wildlife Wonder, I will hate it when it retires because I really do love it. Well, I mean, I'll keep using it, but I won't do any more videos to show you guys how to use it. So, I do sometimes get rid of, I was thinking about having like a sale for, you know, like to sell out some of my retired things. I'm just going to go through my things and see how much I have left and go from there. Because if I don't have enough to sell, you know, like it might not be worth it to have the sale. But I have quite a bit of paper, but I don't know if I have enough stamps. Paper doesn't sell that well in the sales, I find. So there we go. So there's our little, but look how cute her crown is. I'm just turning it to the side to make sure you can see it. All that foil can be a little, but I just put one of the tiny evergreen opals right there. Opal rounds, and so just a cute little card, just a very simple card, simple layout, but I do like the effect of having this ribbon, and this label is just one I happen to have, but you could use any label. I just happen to have this one that was outlined in gold foil, but you could use any that you have, you know, so it's not going to be a big deal. But that's also a bonus of having paper pumpkin, is you have extra pieces sometimes left over. So that's our card for today. That's it. Nothing fancy, very basic, but I think it still has a good effect. And I wanted to make sure I showed you how to make those, cut the paper, because that's always really hard, is people have trouble cutting the paper and then you waste paper. And it's not intentional, but you know, it just happens. You're just trying to make sure you get it. You're just trying to make sure that you get the image you want, and then you wind up cutting both of your sheets incorrectly, and you really, that was your favorite sheet. So it's annoying, you know? So anyway, well, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate your guys' support and comments, and don't forget to comment because it puts you in for a drawing for this card. All right, well, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.